Where do you think the sticky point really is for the industry? And I've asked you a number of times, so I want you to give me, if you have a different answer or the same answer. Do you think this governance bill is the lower hanging fruit of the entire PIB tree, as it were?
Exactly. It is the lowest hanging fruit. It doesn't address the key issues. This is not the bill that will unlock the so-called 100 billion that we feel investment that we feel has not been made. This is not the bill that will do that.
This is where I'm looking at where the money is in this document, and I'm trying to find where really this is going to stimulate the kind of money, new investments you're hearing is going in Dubai, is going in Saudi Arabia, oil and gas industries around the world. In the US, for example, the IPOs, they will get billions and billions of dollars since 2017 started, for instance. Even oil companies are putting new investments. We don't have a dime yet, as it were, on the table.
This is not the bill that will unlock that. To some extent, what this bill does, it gives investors a clarity regarding who am I going to be dealing with if I'm coming into Nigeria, especially for the licensing round we're going to have later on this year or next year, early next year. They know down that, okay, I'm going to be dealing with MPRC, the single industry regulator, and then NMPC, or the new company called MPC or NOC, whatever it's going to be called, new national oil company, is a purely commercial business. So it's not my regulator. I don't have to go there for approvals or anything anymore. No, everything I'm going for approval is MPRC. So it gives some clarity. But the key one that needs to unlock investments is fiscal bill. That's the one I feel should be the next bill that they need to now start looking at. Our deep water, we haven't seen as much exploration as we're seeing in other countries. I'm currently preparing an overview against the rest of the year, and we're looking at what's happening in the rest of West Africa. People are drilling. They're drilling in Ghana, they're drilling in Cote d'Ivoire, they're drilling in Senegal, they're drilling in Guinea. You know, we even have a Nigerian independent also funding a drilling in Guinea. So people are drilling, but nothing is really happening offshore Nigeria, and that's really because the fiscal terms are still not attractive enough from the draft we're seeing. So we need to see a more flexible fiscal term, and if that is passed, then we might unlock investments.
What, in essence, do you think this PIGB can achieve? Do you think the lower house of legislature will pass something similar to their senior, and I use that respectfully, the upper house to be more precise, and do you think the executive branch will be able to put the two together very quickly between now and the rest of the year to quickly put this on motion, because we're not too sure how many more of this can get done before the wind of 2019 start blowing across the country?
Yeah, you know, an interesting thing is the Lagos State Chamber of Commerce, Lagos State Chamber of Commerce and Industry organized an event, and the representative from the House of Rep, the head of the committee sitting on petroleum matters, was also in that meeting, and he gave us assurance that, look, once we get the bill as well too, we're going to work on it as fast as possible and make sure we do it this year. So I imagine that they're also going to try and pass something as quickly as possible. I think with the way that the executive has worked with the Senate in getting to this point, it will also be a faster turnaround on their end as well too. So the key thing now is how we're going to now start restructuring the rest of the industry, because now don't forget, you've got to move people around a lot. Some people have to leave NNPC and move because they're sitting on regulatory functions in NNPC, move them to MPRC, move DPR people to MPRC, move PPRA people to MPRC, and then carve off NNPC into the new national oil company, and then assets that were with MPDC, some of them are actually going to move to the new MPAMC. So it's going to be a bit of moving around in the industry going forward.
Moving people, moving assets,
exactly,
and things like that.
Exactly, and creating new entities which are purely commercial entities where, don't forget, the rule is that 40% of the new national company must be sold on the stock exchange within the next 5 years. So that's something to look forward to. So we're looking forward to that, because government will hold 50%, I think BP will hold 50%, and then over time government will sell 40% of its own stake to the public.
And that gives government just about 10%.
And then government is left to just 10%. And at some point, I imagine they'll be looking for someone to take the BP's portion of 50%.
Interesting story. Early today on Bloomberg, the Indians are looking to do $1 billion part of their own refiner sale and reduce government holding in the refinery business over there. And I say, oh my God, $1 billion US, and they're getting advisors already for that.
Exactly. I mean, it's going on around the world. Everybody's trying to privatize. I mean, if you look over in Ghana as well too, Ghana, Saudi Arabia, we all know Aramco is pursuing that $1 trillion valuation. Everybody's trying to get government out of the oil business so that they can unlock all the funds that's currently trapped, invest in other parts of the economy, diversify it to a point where we can actually be less reliant on oil for government revenue and for foreign exchange.
If your colleagues who are research analysts and energy traders leaders and industry folks are giving you phone calls today, tomorrow, over the weekend, next week, and say, hey, Dolapo, what is going on in Nigeria? What will you be telling them as far as this new governance bill is concerned? Do you think would you be telling them, look, this is the time now to position yourself? It looks like the window has been opened half inch. Just looking through the window, and you can see something.
To some extent, that's what I'll be saying. That look, the window is open. Senate is finally starting to move on this bill. This bill is over 17 years old. We're finally seeing some lift off. So with this one passed, we start to see some restructuring going on in the industry. Hopefully, the fiscal bill can follow this as soon as possible, and then we start to unlock investments in deep water and in gas. And then, as that follows, we go with the deregulation of the downstream. Then it makes the whole modular refinery setup a lot more profitable and more economic. And then we start to see investments even further downstream, and we're on path to a great oil and gas industry again.
How should we implement this? Via an executive order?
I'm
looking for something that is going to make it very, because we have a very good record of being very slow, in slow motion.
Executive order would be fantastic,
because if you're going to set up new companies, you've got to go to CAC
executive
and put this and put the border. They would just roll out an executive order and just target the PIB governance and get it working without wasting time.
I totally agree.
I'm just thinking if that is going to be the way. So what do you think will be the reaction? And I'm going back to the Kachiku's ministry as far as this is concerned. What should be their reaction?
Well, I think...
Should be.
No, should be. I think the reaction should be a good one. It should be, to welcome and to appreciate the initiative by the Senate. There's a part of the bill which is less talked about, the fact that the Ministry of Petroleum will also be incorporated. So that's an interesting one, because again, don't forget, everything here is targeted at improving transparency also too. So to some extent, they want to start seeing proper books for various ministries, especially for a Ministry of Petroleum, which is this major revenue generator for the economy. So
would they like something like this that breaks them down?
And I think they should appreciate that. If you saw while Kachiko was at NNPC, we saw NNPC records a lot more frequently. There was only 1 month lag. I think that's a critical thing. So Minister of Petroleum Information Incorporated will be interesting for him as well too.
Very interesting. Thank you very much, Dolapo. We're looking at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce Industry Director General joining us on the program. After you've left, we're going to ask him a few questions about this, how he feels about it. They are the ones who have a lot of folks in their chamber, and they have an overarching view, as it were, of the various private sector folks. Okay, whatever you're hearing and whatever everybody else is saying, let us be the first to know what the views are from the outside as far as this new governance bill, or Chapter 1 of the PIB bill. That's the way I just coined that for it. Just where I sit in there, I just think we should just say Chapter 1. Then we'll see what happens in Chapter 2.
It works. It works.
Thank you very much. Well, we'll come back after the break. Dolapo Odi, who is the head of energy research at EcoBank. We're talking about the Buhari's administration's assessment midterm report. Yesterday was the SSI Presidential Policy Dialogue, this about the third in the series, getting the government and the private sector to come together. So it was more about the ERGP and the new executive orders yesterday and what everybody should do to work together to get the economy out of recession on that better trajectory. That's what Muda Yusuf will be talking about when he comes in here in 2 minutes.